Hi there, my name's Ian Mile and I'm a partner at Container Solutions, which is a cloud native consultancy. And I want to show you today an open source project that we've been working on called Continuous Compliance Framework. So this project was built out of frustration with lack of automation in the compliance space. It's documented on a website here. And it's also a GitHub project or GitHub organization called Compliance-Framework if you want to dig in and find out more. So if we dive right in and have a look at the application, what you can see on the main page is a list of checks that are being performed across our estate. So in this case, we have 9 checks going on 5 different servers. And these checks are each represented by one line on this page. On each line, you see the type of check that we're doing. In this case, it's a package version check on the host kube prod worker 1. We have 4 of those servers which look very similar, and then the 5th one here is the same check package version on an old Ubuntu server. And finally, we have 4 servers with SSH configuration checks. For each of these checks, they have what's called a history. So every minute these checks are being performed and the history of them is being sent. So if I click onto history here, we can see that for this particular result, we've got a history of checks every minute for the last period. And for each of them, we can see we've got 3 numbers. The middle number represents the number of observations. So observations is an OSCL term. OSCL is an open document exchange format for exchanging information about controls and compliance activities. So observations is a technical term, and within OSCL. And there are 3 findings which are negative. So the numbers on either side of the observations, the grey one in the middle, the numbers on the either side represent either a positive finding or a negative finding. Green is positive, red is negative. In this case, we can see we've got 3 negative findings. So if we click on to viewing that particular check at that particular time, we performed 3 observations. These are the details of the observations. And we had 3 open findings. So if you like, negative findings. One is public key authentication is not enabled. One is host SSH is using password authentication. And the third is root account should not be allowed to use password authentication. So it's telling us that there's something wrong with our SSH configuration on these 4 hosts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log on to that host and inspect the SSH configuration. Okay, and conveniently I've set this up so that it's easy for me to see what's wrong with the configuration. And these 3 lines correspond to the 3 things that we've checked for problems. So if I correct, let's just say I correct one of these. I'm going to correct this without password. So now we're compliant. Permit root login is now not yes, but it's without password. And if I exit from there and minimize this, after a minute or so, the history of this check will update, and the graphs and so on will reflect the improved situation. A minute or so later, and you can see that the graph here has gone down in terms of red, up in terms of green, and stayed the same in terms of black. If I hover over that graph, you can see that we've got 3 0 passed and 3 observations over here. And then if I move over to the latest check time, you can see we've got failed 2, passed 1, observations 3. And if I go back to the original results page, we can see that the situation has also improved there as well. So this allows us to see in real time what's the compliance status of our systems are as a whole. Okay, so imagine you're in charge of compliance at a very large estate, and you have not just 9 of these checks, but potentially many thousands. You may want to reduce you may want to have a view of these checks which is more specific to areas you're interested in. And one of the aspects of compliance framework that's quite powerful is the ability to select and report on subsets of the checks going on in your system. In each check, there is a set of name-value pairs which are available to select on, to query on. And one of these is here. You see we've got group public, and there's also group private available as well. Now these we're mainly interested in looking at public servers initially. So let's search for just public servers, and you can see we've got this similar graph here with a reduced set of negative findings because we fixed this SSH configuration, one of the SSH configurations on one of these hosts. So now I've got this view of my public servers. I can then save that as what's called an assessment plan. So an assessment plan is an OSCL term which is essentially a way of saying we're going to go and check these things. But a continuous compliance framework allows you to just focus on a particular set of checks that you're conducting. If we go to our assessment plans, we see we've now got one assessment plan that's public. But let's say I'm interested in a very specific server. With each check, you can also use a preset for you _hostname value. So let's say we just want to look at let's say server-ubuntu-2018-1. We search for that. We've got a server here with a package version check which is failing. You can see that there's a 1 in red there. So I'm going to save that, and we're just going to give it the name of the server. If I submit that, you can see we've got an assessment plan called server Ubuntu 2018-1. Okay, so now we've got this assessment plan looking just at this server, and I'm going to jump onto that server and try and fix it. So the problem we've got, what is the problem we've got? Let's have a look. The problem we've got is the wget version is too low. It should be greater than 123. So let's have a look at what version of wget we've got here. We've got 119.4. So I can see that my server is out of date, and there's a clue in the name 2018. It's too old. So our policy is set in our agent, and the policy has flagged a violation, and we need to mitigate this. We need to address this. So helpfully I've got a script here which does exactly that. It just runs this do release upgrade script for us. So I'm going to leave that running, and while that's running, I'm going to take a break and then come back when it's done. Okay, after a few minutes, the upgrade has happened. Now if we look at the wget version on this server, we've got 120.3, which is the version we want. So an upgrade has fixed it. So if we go back to our dashboard for this particular assessment plan, so let's have a look here. You can see we've now got green 1, observed 1, and 0 red, and also the compliance graph is now improved. If we go into view there, we can see that we've got the findings here, but the finding is mitigated, so there's no problem currently with the observations on that server. Now, if we return back to our original results page, we can see that we've sorted out all our package version compliance. In fact, if we do type equals apt versions in our search, you can see that now we have no red and it's all green. So that's good. What I'm going to do now is fix all these other SSH problems, and then on the 4 servers, and then once that's done, we should see everything going to green, and we're now happy as an auditor that things are in a good state. So I've done 3 of the workers. Now I'm going to do the 4th worker. So I'm just logging on to make those updates, just so you can see what I've been doing across the servers. Okay, so now they should all be fixed. If I refresh this screen, you can see the one I've just done is not yet picked up, but the others have been picked up over time. Again, you see the graph going to green, and you see the red falling. So in a few seconds, you can see it's 1646. It's now 1647. So in real time, we should see the results improve, and there we go. These findings are now mitigated, and if we look at that, particular worker, we've got zero negative findings across all our checks, and the graph is now looking good. So if I'm a compliance officer, I can now report in real time that my entire estate looks clean. I haven't gone into depth about the checks that we do. We have a plugin framework and a policies framework, which allows us to define policies per check if you want, and you can have version control, you can have canary testing for new policies and so on. I'm not going to get into that today. I just hope that by showing you this, you can see some of the potential for continuous compliance as a tool to help you manage in an automated fashion the compliance situation across your systems. And bear in mind, this is all using open source, and it's all using open standards, which were going to be improved over time and reflected in the project. So if you're interested in learning more about this, do let me know, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.